Okay, good morning, everyone who is already here. We will start in about 10 minutes at 9 Kiev time. So if you want to get some refreshments before or a coffee or something else, then feel free. Yes, so ask for your patience for eight more minutes from now. Thanks. Okay, so hello everyone again. Day of the Security Forum. Today, as if you have been here the last times, yesterday and the day before, you know, for all new guests, welcome. We are very happy to see you. Most important information is that some of our talks are in another language, in English, for example, in Russian, like our first talk. If you need some interpretation, some translation, please click on the globe icon about here in Zoom menu, and then change to the language you would like to hear. Also, if you have any questions, please either write them into the Q&A module. You can also find it down in the Zoom bar, or use the normal chat. The same is valid if you are following us on YouTube. So welcome for our followers there too. You can also chat with us using the chat window right next to the video screen. Yeah, without further ado, I think we are ready for our first talk. Sergey, are you ready?
Yes, hello, доброго дня, доброго ранку, коллеги, доброе утро. Рад всех видеть, рад, что вы присоединились. И сегодня меня зовут Сергей, фамилия Богуш, и сегодня хочу как раз поговорить с вами на тему безопасности, поскольку наша конференция, наш форум посвящен как раз вопросам безопасности. И это один из основных вопросов, который нас волнует в нашей IT-инфраструктуре. Итак, давайте начинать. И мы видим, что первый слайд – это тема как раз Zero Trust, которая уже давно на слуху. И я хочу показать вам сегодня, что нет разницы для бизнеса, для наших сотрудников, откуда мы работаем, из какого устройства мы работаем. Это может быть все секьюрно, и кроме того, это может быть легко. Ну и часто мы не задумываемся над всеми сценариями, над всеми угрозами, которые могут быть реализованы в рамках нашей инфраструктуры. Но зачастую большинство организаций еще все-таки используют VPN. Некоторые VPN есть определенное усиление. VPN используют, но все-таки нужно понимать, что когда мы даем доступ сотрудникам через VPN к нашей инфраструктуре, мы открываем весь наш внутренний периметр, и, соответственно, если у пользователя есть какой-то зловред на компьютере, какое-то паразитное программное обеспечение, соответственно, оно может попасть к нам внутрь, в нашу внутреннюю инфраструктуру. Также очень важной проблемой и очень большой процент составляет фишинг, использование кейлогеров, когда крадутся креденшалы, логин, пароль наших сотрудников, и опять же злоумышленники получают доступ к нашей инфраструктуре. Кроме того, нельзя не обращать внимания на то, что часто сотрудники с учетом недостаточной IT-security грамотности могут кликнуть и перейти на опасную ссылку, либо расшарить, показать, предоставить экран с чувствительными, конфиденциальными для организации данными, и как раз может произойти утечка, либо это просто какая-то небрежность, оплошность сотрудников, которая может привести к проблеме в нашей IT-инфраструктуре. Ну и сегодня я хотел бы поговорить как раз, как это решить, и решить это с помощью продуктов Citrix, и не только поговорить, а сейчас мы еще буквально пару слайдов, я познакомлю вас больше с общими моментами решения, и мы перейдем как раз к настройке для того, чтобы показать, как быстро это можно сделать, как быстро можно обеспечить доступ сотрудников к их ресурсам с учетом как раз концепции, с учетом парадигмы Zero Trust. Ну и мы все знаем, что компания Citrix уже более 30 лет занимается вопросом виртуализации, вопросами сети и безопасности и является лидером, одним из лидеров на рынке. И в дополнении к своему решению Citrix DaaS, Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops, которые, опять же, дают нам возможность безопасно доставлять ресурсы нашим пользователям, Citrix предлагает также решение Secure Private Access. Это решение, которое как раз позволяет нам безопасно защитить нашу информацию от вышеперечисленных мною моментов и безопасно предоставить удаленный доступ к внутренним приложениям, либо к SaaS-приложениям для наших сотрудников, независимо от того, где они находятся. Ну и что нам предлагает Secure Private Access? Это в первую очередь как раз сервис построен с учетом Zero Trust, концепции Zero Trust. Используется тут адаптативный доступ к нашим ресурсам в рамках нашей инфраструктуры. Мы можем использовать также адаптативную аутентификацию, когда пользователь, подключаясь к нашей инфраструктуре на этапе ввода логина, пароля и аутентификации, проверяется на соответствие тем или иным параметрам для предоставления соответствующей информации, соответствующих ресурсов. Также благодаря Citrix Secure Private Access мы получаем браузер, Citrix Enterprise браузер, который изолирует нашу инфраструктуру от внешних угроз. То есть это как виртуальная прослойка между внешней средой и нашей внутренней IT-инфраструктурой, которую мы предоставляем пользователю для работы. Ну и, конечно же, одно из основных моментов в Zero Trust – это видимость и мониторинг наших сотрудников. То есть мы видим, что делает, когда делает и как делает. Ну и в рамках нашего стенда что мы имеем? Мы имеем внешних сотрудников, наш сервис Citrix Secure Private Access и наши внутренние приложения. При этом внутренние приложение у нас будем использовать сегодня глобально самое простое. Это Zoom для публикации, для демонстрации того, как это можно сделать. Внешнее приложение, к примеру, если заказчик, пользователь работает с SaaS-приложениями. И также внутреннее TCP/UDP приложение, к примеру, RDP, либо SSH. Ну и давайте перейдем теперь ближе к нашему сервису и познакомимся, как это выглядит. Итак, так выглядит консоль администратора Citrix. Мы видим сразу же на консоли много сервисов, которые нам доступны. И с чего мы начнем? Один из них – это Secure Private Access. Ну, начнем мы с самого основного сейчас, того, что нас интересует в данном случае, это аутентификация пользователя. Citrix дает нам возможность уже на борту, содержит и дает нам возможность сразу уже включать аутентификацию с учетом второго фактора. То есть в данном случае мы видим, у меня уже включен Active Directory плюс токен. То есть нам нет необходимости подключать стороннего identity провайдера, либо если у нас есть, и мы предпочитаем что-то другое, соответственно, мы всегда можем подключить практически любого identity провайдера, как вы видите. То есть все достаточно просто и уже заранее преднастроено. Далее, теперь давайте пойдем непосредственно уже в наш сервис и начнем работу с сервисом. То есть вопрос аутентификации пользователя уже мы на данном этапе решили. Ага. Итак, страничка грузится сейчас. Так, итак, так выглядит наш сервис. Соответственно, с чего мы начинаем? Первое, с чего мы начинаем, это как раз настройка нашей аутентификации. У нас уже есть преднастроена аутентификация, соответственно, как мы видели, мы будем использовать нашу Active Directory и наш токен, второй фактор. Есть возможность также, как я упоминал, сконфигурировать, настроить адаптативную аутентификацию с учетом проверки контекста пользователя. Ну и следующее – это наше приложение. Что мы хотим публиковать для пользователя? Давайте, к примеру, начнем с общего приложения, и мы сразу же видим, сейчас загружается, есть у Citrix уже предподготовленный ряд темплейтов, шаблонов. В целом, давайте самое первое приложение, это возьмем наш Zoom. И видим, в принципе, все преднастроено. Мы видим, что это приложение outside my corporate network, то есть внешнее приложение, ну и все, что нам нужно ввести, домен. Окей, теперь выбираем наши вопросы, решаем аутентификации, то есть на данном этапе нам не нужно SSO. И как раз выбираем тип нашего подключения, внутреннее, внешнее. И это все, приложение, то есть мы публикуем наше приложение, но для того, чтобы опубликовать, следующим этапом у нас будет это как раз сказать, как мы это будем делать для пользователя. Ну, и тут у нас для HTTPS приложений мы выбираем наше приложение. Есть у нас уже ряд политик безопасности. В данном случае выберем пользователей, которым будет предоставлен доступ. Это могут быть группы пользователей, конкретные пользователи. И вот как раз есть несколько возможностей. В данном случае выберем Allow Access with Restrictions и просто добавим сюда Display Watermark. Кроме того, при публикации приложений сразу же видим, благодаря использованию изолированного браузера, мы также можем дополнительно защитить нашу информацию от утечки, блокируя буфер обмена, блокируя печать, загрузку, выгрузку. И дополнительно есть возможность использовать защиту от кейлогинга и скринскрапинга. То есть если вдруг у нас случайно где-то кто-то хочет записать наш экран, либо снять набор клавиатуры, соответственно, все, что злоумышленник получит, это при использовании, при защите от кейлогинга, это набор просто случайных символов, ну а при попытке украсть данные с нашего экрана, соответственно, он получит черный прямоугольник. Ну, давайте для начала просто опубликуем наше приложение для того, чтобы посмотреть, как оно работает. В целом политика создана, включаем ее. Next. Осуществляем предпросмотр. И, в принципе, первая настройка, самое первое приложение у нас опубликовано. Дальше уже можем дополнительно добавлять приложения. Ну, давайте сейчас перейдем и посмотрим, как это выглядит и что мы опубликовали. То есть у нас есть обычный рабочий стол, ну, в данном случае это виртуальный рабочий стол AWS, Windows сервер. Итак, приложение открыто. Для доступа можем использовать обычный браузер, либо Citrix Workspace App. В данном случае используем Citrix Workspace App. И видим, приложение опубликовалось. То есть как это будет выглядеть для пользователя. Пользователь открывает приложение и получает доступ уже с watermarkами, то, что мы выбрали, к своему приложению. То есть он может осуществить доступ и работать со своим приложением безопасно. Кроме того, так как мы используем безопасный изолированный браузер, пользователь может использовать его для работы с другими как раз ссылками. И то, что я говорил, в случае, даже если используют они безопасные ссылки, они не смогут навредить нашей инфраструктуре. Ну, давайте попробуем использовать его для перехода на YouTube. И видим, что мы можем... То есть у нас в данном случае есть возможность блокировки, то есть блокировка в данном случае контента осуществлена. И как это делается? Есть в настройках у нас возможность как раз блокировки веб-фильтеринга. И мы видим, что мы можем тут делать. Мы можем как раз блокировать наши веб-сайты. Видим, у нас включена фильтрация определенных категорий, то есть практически в данном случае мы заблокировали все, в том числе, видите, и наш YouTube заблокирован. То есть также можем добавлять веб-сайты в разрешенные, блокированные, перенаправлять сайты, разрешать определенные категории, то есть, опять же, осуществлять определенный веб-фильтеринг данного контента. И теперь мы опубликовали наше приложение, наш Zoom. Давайте теперь попробуем перейти и добавить еще одно приложение. Это уже будет TCP-приложение. Веб-приложение мы посмотрели. Давайте добавим приложение. Это будет наш TCP. Для публикации приложения мы не используем шаблон. Выбираем наше приложение, поскольку внутри нашей сети, соответственно, Inside Corporate Network, выбираем TCP/UDP протокол, ну и сделаем SSH, к примеру, с использованием 22 порта, для примера. Вбили базовые данные, можем добавлять иконки для каждых приложений, проблем абсолютно никаких нету, все абсолютно просто, и вы видите, что интерфейс достаточно user-friendly, все понятно, и настроек немного. Выбираем наш ресурс location, мы можем из нескольких ресурсов публиковать, поэтому при публикации выбираем те ресурсы, откуда мы будем публиковать данное приложение. И, в принципе, мы практически готовы. Единственное, что осталось, еще раз опубликовать нам благодаря определению политики. Выбираем наше приложение SSH. Выбираем, кто будет подключаться. Выбираем, разрешаем, либо запрещаем. Ну и policy name. Policy. Итак, мы готовы опять же тестировать теперь наше решение. Давайте вернемся на наш экран. И для доступа к TCP UDP приложениям нам надо включить наш агент соответствующий. Давайте проверим. У меня нет тут VPN. Проверим то, что на данном этапе нам просто данное приложение недоступно. Ну, пока оно по тайм-ауту будет завершаться неудачей, мы сейчас запустим наш агент. И, как видим, сразу же у нас есть двухфакторная аутентификация. Попытка подключиться завершилась неудачей. Давайте пройдем аутентификацию. И сразу же второй фактор, то, что мы с вами включили. Видимо, аутентификацию прошли успешно, наш Secure Access Agent подключился. И давайте теперь еще раз попробуем получить доступ к нашему приложению. Видим сразу же, наш доступ успешен. Давайте пройдем аутентификацию. Видим, мы спокойно работаем с сервисом снаружи, вне нашей инфраструктуры, безопасно, используя доступ лишь точечно к одному сервису. Ну, а давайте теперь закроем это и внесем небольшие изменения в настройки нашей системы. Видим нашу политику, и давайте ее немножко сейчас подредактируем. И добавим сюда, как я говорил, есть возможность осуществлять условный доступ. И этот условный доступ, к примеру, давайте самое простое, это геолокация, поскольку у меня десктоп в ОС, соответственно, мы не сможем получить доступ с него. Внесли изменения, апдейт. Обновим политику и попробуем теперь еще раз сделать то же самое. Итак, видим, сразу же появилось уведомление о том, что доступ запрещен. Но давайте теперь поступим следующим образом. Я теперь возьму и открою такой же агент, ну, уже локально на моем компьютере. На минутку я подключусь, опять же, пройду уже локально аутентификацию тем же самым юзером. И, конечно же, наш второй фактор. Окей, и давайте теперь попробуем еще раз, но сделать из локального моего компьютера. Сейчас. Так, итак, видим, что подключился из локального компьютера, просто один долго подключался, подключились мы из локального нашего компьютера, с которого я веду трансляцию. Итак, видим, что работает и контекстный доступ, и условный доступ. Теперь еще один момент хотел бы показать и продемонстрируем прям это на нашем Zoom. Есть у нас возможность того же защиты от кейлогинга, скринскрапинга. И как это будет выглядеть, мы сделаем update policy, но для этого нам необходимо использовать как раз Citrix Workspace App и при установке выбирать определенную опцию. Если мы возьмем уже как раз данное приложение с учетом опций App Protection, то после аутентификации сразу же, после загрузки приложения, сразу же уже на этапе аутентификации пользователь получит, как я говорил, если говорить про явное, это черный экран. Ну, я надеюсь, что я вижу эти приложения. Коллеги, попрошу помочь и сказать, что вы видите. Видите ли вы черный экран, сейчас черный прямоугольник на экране, либо видите мою консоль?
Сереж, видим черный прямоугольник на экране и движение мышкой.
Да, спасибо. Это так работают политики App Protection. То есть даже расшарить экран в рамках сессии я не могу, поскольку мы включили наши политики. В принципе, коллеги, время заканчивается у меня, поэтому буду заканчивать. На самом деле вы видите, что Zero Trust и Citrix помогает нам сделать его гораздо проще, гораздо легче и быстро. Нам потребовалось полчаса практически для того, чтобы публиковать пользователям наше приложение. Какие есть вопросы, коллеги?
Thank you, Sergey. We have some questions. The first question would be, what elements do we need to deploy in our infrastructure to use SPA? What ports does the service elements use? And if it's possible to have a demo or a test version on site.
Yes, of course. Thank you for the questions. Для того, чтобы внедрить данный сервис, если мы хотим работать с SaaS-приложениями, HTTPS-приложениями, соответственно, нам нужен лишь в нашей инфраструктуре один элемент, так называемый Cloud Connector, для аутентификации пользователей. При этом с учетом концепции Zero Trust используется только исходящее соединение от данного элемента, от данной виртуальной машины по 443 порту, потому максимально безопасно. Если говорить про публикацию TCP/UDP приложений, то на данном этапе Citrix занимается интеграцией и дополнением функционала к тому коннектору, о котором я уже вспоминал, но на данном этапе нам потребуется еще разворачивание второй виртуальной машины, второго коннектора, который как раз будет отвечать за связь TCP и UDP приложений и для публикации, проброса и их безопасно пользователя, опять же, по исходящему соединению 443 порту. Для демонстрации, для получения демо достаточно обратиться к нам и зарегистрировать свой аккаунт на портале Citrix. То есть, как вы видели, портал нам дает возможность использовать не только SPA, но и много других сервисов, и все предподготовленное. То есть глобально много работы в нашей инфраструктуре, много работы под настройки делать нет необходимости. Все достаточно просто.
Сереж, еще есть вопрос. Хотят узнать, дает ли возможность доступ материалов для блокировки? Блокировка материала для доступа для всех.
Чуть-чуть непонятен вопрос.
Я так полагаю, что вопрос следующего плана. Можем ли мы заблокировать доступ всем конкретно каким-то материалам? Но ответ здесь, конечно, можем.
Смотрите, без проблем вернусь в консоль, и мы можем, опять же, в нашей политике мы можем использовать контекстный доступ. Мы можем создать такую же политику и для отдельной группы просто запретить доступ. То есть достаточно гранулярно. Можем запрещать, можем разрешать, если у нас встречаются элементы, которые пересекаются в наших политиках, соответственно, тут уже мы включаем и выставляем приоритетность. То есть будет применяться политика deny, к примеру, следующее, запрещать доступ определенной группе, а потом всем остальным разрешать. Достаточно гранулярно.
Али, мы ответили на ваш вопрос? Если можно, напишите в чат.
I think all questions are answered for the moment. If someone has additional questions, you can book a meeting with our speaker in the afternoon. You find the meeting link on the website of this event or here in chat. So thank you for the
Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you for your time. I will be glad if you want to do deep dive into SPA and other Citrix services. Thank you very much one more time.
Thanks. And next up is Miroslav from Forcepoint. So if you're good to go, then we are ready for you.
Hello, привет. Добрый день. I am ready. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. So I will share my screen and start.
Yes, works. Thank you.
Great. Hello again. My name is Miroslav Bajgar. I'm working as a sales engineer for Forcepoint for some time. And thank you for coming here. So I just have to adjust my screen because I need access to the top. Okay, I'll fix it later. So today, name of my presentation is Left of Data Loss, and basically I just would like to explain what does it mean left of loss, because typically when we have a user that is in some sort of risk towards a company. So maybe this guy wants to leave the company. We may have some sort of DLP product in place, ideally, of course, the Forcepoint product. And we may detect some suspicious incident and activity. Maybe this guy is trying to upload some sensitive data to the internet. We will detect it on DLP, and then we have some response time to act before the user is identified or locked. So this is the traditional approach that we have. But the problem that we may have is that before that action, okay, and maybe even after that action, there is a lot of things that may happen. This guy can do a lot of stuff that give us the opportunity actually to detect his behavior, and then we have a time to respond to the behavior just before something bad may happen. And basically, we have the opportunity to actually prevent a lot of the bad stuff happening based on our idea that we are aware that the user may do or may pose some risk towards the company. So we have this like 90 score, which is correlating to the risk score of the user, that we are using the scale from 0 to 100. So if somebody reaching 90 is already a very risky user. So in that time, we have an opportunity to block many more actions before the actual web upload and DLP alert is physically happening. And that's what we will be talking about, how to achieve this kind of security approach, how to basically be aware about the incidents before they happened. In Forcepoint, we have approach or product, which is called Dynamic User Protection, DUP, or we may also call it Risk Adaptive Protection. Basically, it is a correlation of two approaches. The one approach on the left side is a traditional user activity monitoring. So, we are collecting a lot of data about what the user is doing, how he is behaving. There is a lot of forensics for investigations available. But the problem with this approach is that it creates too much volume without context. There's a lot of tidbits, a lot of little things that we are collecting, but we don't really see the broad context. And of course, there is an additional endpoint needed for that, as usual. Then the second approach is a traditional entity behavior analytics, UABA, which calculates the risk of the user and it aggregates isolated events. So when the user is doing thing A and he's doing thing B, it might be as two separate things, but they all together can mean that he is actually doing a thing C, which could be dangerous for our company or organization. And that's important to understand the score, the potential relative score to the other colleagues of this user, et cetera. And this is where the UABA is great at. The problem with the UABA is that it's really constrained on the quality of data models that we are using. So it is extremely problematic to understand and create the models. It's really a big solution. It's not really good for a small or medium-sized companies. It's like a big beast, and it's only potentially good if you have a really mature environment in your organization. What we did is basically combined both approaches together into one thing that we are trying to converge the capabilities and eliminate the issues that we have in both approaches. So this thing is a little screenshot from our DLP management. Okay. I will show it later to you how it looks like in real life. This is basically how we are marrying, how we are intersecting the DLP product that Forcepoint is very well known for. We are, if not the best, definitely one of the best DLP providers on the world. And we are putting inside this product a capability to work with this risk adaptive or dynamic user protection. So on this screenshot, what you can see is actually a policy rule set up. So we have some sort of policy, we are looking for something, it's not important at the moment. And we are basically, the important thing is this lower part where we have a different risk levels. And based on these risk levels, we are actually behaving towards the user. So if the user is on low risk, okay, we don't even see him as a problematic. So this is business as usual. You don't need even to generate the incidents. This guy is simply allowed to do certain thing, let's say upload sensitive data to the web. If he is not risky, we will simply allow him to do that because we know that he is not doing it with a malicious intent. Once he is going for some more risky situations, we will automatically start behaving differently. So this is no more static policies. It's going to be dynamic, depending on the user behavior in basically real time. So after, you know, his risk level is growing to level 4, we are still not blocking, but we will auditing and notify. And when he goes to the risk level 5, we start blocking, but only, of course, those are risky users. So if you are not posing any risk to the company, we still allow you to work, but the guys and girls that are risky, we will just start blocking them. This is very important because very often the staff or the IT personnel that is deploying the DLP solutions, they have a problems to enable the full blocking mode, because what if they will block somebody? There will be a lot of problems. So they are just sticking with monitoring. With this risk adaptive approach, the DLP product itself can be more tied down. We can actually do the blocking part without or with less problems or with less fear that we will overblock somebody. All right, so in order to do that, in order to calculate the risk, we are using something that we called indicators of behavior. Indicators of behavior is kind of built-in scenarios that we can, classify in several categories. So, for example, there is a leaver category. So somebody who is trying to leave the company. So his example is that he apply for a job on Indeed or on LinkedIn. That would be an example what he is doing. Then there is a data stockpiling, that somebody is trying to hoard the data on his computer, trying to get all the interesting information from the company to one place. Then we are looking for the data exfiltration. So of course there is a DLP policy incidents, but also some uploaded to personal data storage, for example, etc. Then we have data access. So for example, if somebody is trying to access to some data that are supposed to be blocked, or he's supposed not to have access, but he's still trying to access it, that is one of the examples of model. And then, for example, there is also the system modification. So a user is trying to install or deinstall the applications. He tries to modify the registry keys. He tries to, stop and start scheduled task, stuff like that. And there is like hundreds of those scenarios. Each of these has a different risk applied. So maybe somebody is going to apply for a job on LinkedIn. The risk impact is kind of small. It's like a 5 points out of 100. If somebody is trying to download high volume of data from OneDrive, that might be a high risk, okay? And somebody is trying to upload data to Dropbox, it might be sort of medium risk. And each of them has some sort of risk score attached to it. This automatic risk modification gives us possibility to improve the response time. Because when in the left side, we have the agent that is actually listening or looking at what the user is doing on his computer. And we are having a connection with our DLP that is calculating the score. And we have possible in the future integration with all our other products that we can monitor this risk scores. So what is actually, why would a company even start looking on a product like this? What is the reasons for having it or trying to think about it? So I think the first thing is the improved detection. Okay, and there is certain, and LOE it means a level of effort. Somebody really like this shortcuts. So the level of effort is driven by reacting to indicators of compromise, so have more three letters abbreviations. And we really have to improve this detection because the DLP is great. It helps us a lot, but we need to do a lot of manual inspection of the DLP policies. We always have some sort of backlog. It takes a time and stuff like that. Also, the response time is important because if we are doing the manual investigation for each incident, it again takes time and resources. Usually companies doesn't have enough people that are dedicated to investigate DLP. And then there is a reduced risk exposure. This is the ultimate goal, what we are doing, because when we are doing it after the incident has happened, the damage was already done, and we are now just fighting and firefighting and mitigating the risks that already had happened. While when we have this DUP approach or risk adaptive approach, we are really able to put the mean time to detect. This time is 4 letters abbreviation. Okay, we try to put it down to the 0. Basically, we are detecting it before the bad thing is happening. Same with the time to respond, where we again are able to respond before the data leak is happening just by looking at the potential risk of the users. So those would be the 3 areas where we are looking for to improve. And that's what this approach of looking what is happening before the data leak is important. We always have to consider how the humans basically behave. Each user is a little bit different. We usually are thinking about the people doing the risk or posing the risk to the company in the moment when they are, for example, give their leaving message or notice. I don't know how it works on Ukraine exactly. In my country, in Czech Republic, by the law, you are giving like 2 months notice, and only after 2 months you are supposed to leave the company unless you agree otherwise. But this 2 months, usually it means that the user is considered risky. But of course, it's not true. Very often the user starts behaving risky before they decided to leave the company. And that's again what we are looking for. The data stockpiling, they can take a long time before this resignation will occur. And by statistics, it's like a 60 days before that. So it's another thing that we should look at. For the risk adaptive, each alert that we will see, so somebody is doing some bad thing, we have an alert, we have some sort of risk score. There is some time period, some longevity that it will be valid for. And those risk scores are then eroding in the time. So if somebody will do bad things, it doesn't mean that his risk score will grow and grow and grow and nothing will happen. We also have to have this risk score going down over the time. So if somebody do a mistake or will send a bad data to somewhere, and then he is behaving okay, after a couple of days, his risk score goes down. And that's pretty important. And it's there is a formula that we are calculating his risk scores. So, for example, if we have this person going to apply on LinkedIn job, this is a low impact, so he goes a 5-point risk. So after some calculation, we see that his risk after the first incident is 5. The second incident will happen, and we assign it a risk score of 40. Okay, and this is basically, it's not simply 5 plus 40 means 45, but based on some, this is a simple formula, but it will be a little bit lower depending on how we will calculate it in the future. And then the next risk is 10, and again we will add some value on it, and the total risk will be 49. So it will not be like 55, but 49. There is some logic behind it. Each kind of risk has a different risk decay. So the risk is going down based on time and based on different behavior. So there is a step reduction in certain risk scores, like uploads to personal cloud. We will be just going down based on days. There is a gradual reduction. So if somebody applies to the job, but he's still, is staying in the company, we will go down with the risk slowly. But eventually, if he stays the company after 30 days, probably still wants to work with us, or maybe he didn't make agreement with the other company or something like that. And then there is a flat reduction. So when, for example, you say send an email to personal domain, this is usually benign without any problem. So we have it like a short term. So within 5 days, we drop it from 80 to 0. No problem with that. So each of these scores in the product produce a different results on each user, and each user has a different kind of behavior. So we may see that the user one is, for example, sharing to the cloud 9 files a month as his baseline. Every month, he's sharing like 9 files on average. And there is a second user that is sharing 3 files per month on his daily routine. Okay, so those 2 users, when we will detect them with our agent, and we will see that he is sharing now 12 files a month, and the other user will save also 12 files a month. But from the baseline that we understand, the first user is posing the low risk, because for him it's just little increase in his standard behavior. But for the other user, this is a considerable higher risk, because what he's doing is just very, very slowly working with the cloud, but now he's working like very much differently. That's why it's high risk. And this kind of baselining is uploading to cloud uploads, network share downloads, removable storage transfers, so files going to USB, printing, and other activities. So at the end of the day, there is a complicated formula. I will not try to explain this one to you, but there is a lot of inputs that are being calculated on the background on the endpoint, and will basically generate and create the risk score for each user. Okay, so again, not trying to calculate, we will show how it works. When we put together this system, we basically need to integrate it with a DLP. The integration itself is very simple. This screenshot or this screen looks kind of busy, but in reality, it's pretty simple. One thing that we need to understand is that the dynamic user protection is a standalone product. So even if you do not have the Forcepoint DLP, or the customer does not have the Forcepoint DLP, we can still use it as a separate product to score users' behavior. There are some customers that are using it separately, not many of them, to be honest, but it's a possibility. It's a standalone product. You can start with it. You will get a nice score for each user. But the best source, or the best benefits you get when you will integrate it with our DLP products, where these two products can work together, and I will demonstrate it in a demo in just 5 minutes. So this is how we can work together with all the standard products that we have. So that would be it for my presentation. So what are behind this idea, what we can do and offer. So now let's try to go for a demo. So before we go into demo, I will set up some scene. Okay, so what you are looking now is the Forcepoint Security Manager. This is our DLP product. It's not the product that we are actually talking about. This is a standard DLP product. What I would like to show you is how we are integrating this product into the system. Basically, the integration of our DLP and integration of our risk adaptive protection is very simple. This will do the trick. Okay, this is the tick box that you need to tick. That's it. That's all the integration you need to do. We have option, of course, using the dynamic user protection or risk adaptive, or also our behavior analytics, which is a different product. We'll not talk about it today, but this tick box is all you need to do. When you tick the box, you will have a possibility to change the policies. And now we will review two policies that will be important for us. So we have a policy called movie name. We will be talking about a gentleman that is working on the movie script for some, TV channel or something. This guy is just doing his work as a writer. In this scenario, the movie name, okay, we don't have the risk adaptive enabled. That this is not ticked. This box here. This policy is just about blocking all. In no circumstances you should leak the name of the new movie. This is very strictly prohibited. Then we have another policy, and this policy, I call it machine learning demo. In this policy, basically what we are looking for as a condition is we are looking for a lot of Star Wars movie scripts. So I took, I think, 6 Star Wars movies and put them into the machine learning stuff, and I learned something. And I'm expecting that a new script that was not learned yet, it was not written yet, but is similar, we will trigger it because if we use the same, semantics, the same words, we should be able to see that this new script that somebody is writing is about the Star Wars. Okay, that's our second policy. And in this policy, we have the risk adaptive enabled. So we are leaving the user on the low risk levels, doing his job, doing just some audits. Only after he goes on risk level 3 or 4 or 5, we are start to blocking. We don't want this risky user to do some bad things. So this is our setup in the traditional DLP. Now, and that's the situation which I don't like because I don't see the I have to hide the panel. Loading controls. Okay, lovely. So now I will go to the another portal. This is something which is called Forcepoint Neo portal, and this is about the risk adaptive product as such. All right. So when I log in to this product, this is the Forcepoint dynamic user protection, and I see some kind of busy graph. This is my dashboard. I will explain a couple of things and concepts here. Here, what I can see is some risky users. There is my colleague Alex Raczynski, who is doing something today, probably demo. I didn't see him yesterday. And we have this user, David Risco, which is our main hero for today. Okay, so this is a user that has a risk score 13 because he is green. You probably understand that he doesn't do any bad things. Here, there is a lot of things. What I would like to point is this kind of rules that we are matching. Here are a lot of things, and this IOB is this indicator of compromise. So some of them, like are DLP incidents. This is for a Polish personally identifiable information, but we have also here some NEO. So this is this indicators of compromise. So I will check some of this. So here is, for example, IOB 938, user installed new application. So I can check. What does it mean? It means that some users on some period of time, they installed new application and do something. I can review all these events and I can see them. If I'm interested, what does it mean? I can take a look on indicators of behavior, and I have a list of these indicators, and there is a huge list, huge lists, several hundreds of these, and each of them has a different kind of meaning. So, for example, this one is data uploaded to personal OneDrive by critical risk user. That's one of the scenario. Then I have a user change a network share. Okay, and there is always some description. There is a user installed new application or user installed X suspicious applications. Each of it has a different points, different stuff. All of those behavior is monitored on the endpoint. For example, if user search online for open positions, we can score him somehow. So this is our indicators of behavior. You cannot change them. They are pre-built. They are pre-scored. In future, you may have a possibility to like change their scoring, but now they are set in the stone. So now we are looking at our user, at our hero. It's a David Risco. This is our main hero today. You see that his risk score is 13. Yeah, that is important information. He is a low risk score. This guy is a writer, so we can see the user details. He is in department of sci-fi movies, and his manager is coincidentally myself. So we will talk about this gentleman. Now I'm going back to my demo. here, I will log in to the computer as this user. I just rebooted the computer, so I have to hope everything will work as intended, because live demos, they are behaving funny, especially if a lot of people is watching. So I hope everything will work as intended. So now I have this guy, this gentleman, who has his movie script files. He has here the document, and he's working on the movie that is in preparation. It will be called The Force Awakens, and this is one of the movies. And this guy has some files, and in the files they are basically the script of the file. So there is the Ray. I don't know, for you who are the Star Wars fans, you may see, and this is actually the real script from the Universal. It's available to download. And this guy is just working on his script. I will take his simple DLP test, just try to do some sort of copy pasting. So this guy is, he is a writer. I mean, these writers, they are working everywhere. They're working in a cafe, they are working at home, they can work from the beach, they can work from the phone, they can work everywhere. They have to share his files with himself. Sometimes he's working at his grandmother's place, stuff like that. So he may want to send a chapter that he wants to review. So he is just submitting the file somewhere. Okay, I'll just send the submit. The post was successful. Everything is okay. He can send the file. However, I would like to see if this file, if it actually did something. So I have a reporting here, and we have it's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock in Ukraine, but it's 9 o'clock for me. Okay, so I have 9:05. So this is the incident that actually just happened. Okay, and I can see that I did dlptest.com, and I uploaded something that is matching the Star Wars machine learning stuff, and it was permitted. It was okay. So there is the action is permit. There is this little asterisk, and my DLP is saying that this was permitted because it was determined by risk adaptive protection. So everything is okay. The user has here the risk level of 2. So this is what his risk level actually is. This is what happened. So when I'm going, so this is my DLP point of view. Okay, this is what's happening with the DLP. When I'm going to my my risk score, I can see now that his risk score that used to be 13 is now 29. Okay, so this guy is now more risky because he shared some sensitive information outside, but I have no problems allowing him to do that. It's perfectly okay. He can do that. I just have information about the facts. So I can see that I have some alerts here that he break the machine learning demo and he uploaded it somewhere, and it increases his risk score. Okay, I can see that there is some idea about how much the risk score actually goes up, what is actually happening with his situation. So this guy now, when I look at the dashboard, is the most risky guy. Yeah, I should start paying attention on him. Going back to demo, I mean, this guy is, he's just continue working. He is okay. He may want to take another file somewhere randomly. Okay, I will just pick some random text, do some copy. It's a little bit low side, but still should be detected. Go and submit. Again, he sent it out. He is again successful. Everything is fine. No big deal. I can again check and refresh the file. Maybe it was a little bit low, so it was not detected even. So it was really low data. So it was unsuccessful because it was kind of kind of short text. It is a certain size of the text that will be detected, of course, because the machine learning is working like that. So again, I will submit this file, and maybe I can, I will be a little bit more brave, and I will take the whole file. Okay, where is the files? And I can submit the whole file outside. And again, I can do that. I mean, it's not a big deal. The guy can still work, not a problem whatsoever for him. In my DLP, I'm start to getting more incidents. So now I have 2 more incidents that he triggered. In the cloud dashboard, he is now 43. So his risk score is going up. So what's going on? Is everything still the same as it used to be? Well, maybe. Let's check what he is about to do now. We will check his another attempt. Okay, maybe he take another file. Maybe he take another text. It's really working hard today. It's a lot of text sharing. Now he pasted here. Try to submit. Still works fine. Just getting more and more risk scores here. And now, where we are looking at his risk score, okay, we see that his risk score is supposed to go up and up on his risk level. So when we started, his way down there, his risk score was 1. Now in this time, his risk score go up to 2, and then this guy may actually do something bad. Okay, he takes this file, which is basically his new movie name, which is absolutely prohibited, and this cannot be leaked. This is very sensitive information. So he will take this file or this text, and he'll say, yeah, I just want to send it to somebody, and the DLP will block it. The DLP will say, no. If you remember the first rule on DLP I was showing it, this is a pure block on every time. This was blocked, it was not leaved. And in our DLP, we will have an incident saying that this was high and it was blocked. There is no risk score, because this is not related to our risk adaptation. This is adaptive. This is just the standard DLP. We are just blocking the movie name. But how this actually changed in his risk adaptive scenario? Now his risk score go way higher. It's now a 69. Okay, and it's already substantial medium risk score, because he did couple of bad things. He already have higher score. With the higher score, and now bear with me because I hope this will work, because there is always the time you have to hit the correct score on the demo. So when he now tries to take another text, okay, copy some text, put it here, try to send. Now he got something else. The situation that he before was able to work freely, now he's not able to work freely. Now he's not yet blocked. He can still do it, like you say, yeah, this is false positive, that's okay, I can allow it. It goes, and the post was successful. But in our DLP, now it looks a little bit different. The same data that we were sending before are now being continued and being confirmed, because this guy is now having a bigger risk. So if I'm looking at his risk score, it is now 3. And if you remember, on the level 3, we are already blocking him. So now he is already being like blocked. But you just never stop these bad guys. Say, I don't know, I really need to leak this data. So if the file pasting was not working, maybe copy pasting will work. And he started to do it and was submit. and it was blocked, and that doesn't work. So he is really annoyed, and he's thinking like, let's do it properly, and he block it again. You know, it just doesn't work. So now he did a couple of bad things in a row. What does it mean for his risk score? Okay, look at his risk score now. It's 85. And now he is high because he did some really bad things. And now, what does it mean for his possibility to work? Okay, when we go back to his standard working, is give up on the idea to leak this name, but he didn't, you know, he still wants to send the file. So some other file, and you can just copy some text and just do the same work that he was allowed to do like 10 minutes ago. Post it here, okay, submit. What is happening? I mean, I was able to do it, now I'm not. No, that's not fair. The DLP endpoint was blocking him also, even if it is the same stuff, same story. But now when we look into his DLP incidents, he did a couple of, you know, the bad blocks. And now he actually is getting blocked on the same policy that he was before permitted, because now we are saying that his risk level is 4. And if you remember the policy that we set up for the machine learning demo, that was saying that if your risk level is more than 4, you are going to be blocked at all times. Okay, so this is the way how the risk adaptive protection is working. It allows you to work with the same DLP settings. It allows you to do your job, but in the same time, if the user starts behaving wrong, he is going to be blocked in his job. And of course, you know, the administrator, if this was an error, we can always like reset his score. We can edit the risk level. We can put it down to low. You know, do something about it. So if there was a problem, we can clear it. But what this means is that without any administrative attempt to like make the policies more harsh, we can always be sure that the DLP is actually working as it is supposed to. So this is my demo. This is concluding my stuff, and that is what I want to show you. How to prevent the data loss before this actually is happening. So I think it's now time for your questions.
Thank you, Miroslav. And indeed, we have a lot of questions.
Wow.
At least, 4 or 5. So the first one I think I can answer, it was, is this a full DLP solution? And I think we can say yes, sir.
What I was demonstrating was a combination of full DLP and risk adaptive. It's a separate products that works together. So the risk adaptive, this Neo portal, is separate. It can work even without DLP, but of course it is doing just these indicators of compromise. So it is just risk scoring. It is still good product.
Better together.
But it's better together, exactly.
Second question is, what about downloading on computer from company system and after copying it to USB?
Exactly. So that's exactly one of the behavior of compromise. I don't remember the name of it. So it would be like that. But if you look into these indicators, that's exactly one of the things that will be here copied. I think it's somewhere on the beginning. I don't remember, but this is exactly scenario. Download it from the company systems, then uploading to it. This combination is, of course, a bigger risk than just uploading it. You know.
Then third question: how is the monitoring process? Does it affect machine performance? Okay, this is about performance.
of course. So performance. This is this demo computer. I have two endpoints. One endpoint is DLP endpoint. DLP is like more heavily involved in doing a lot more stuff. Okay. The Neo endpoint is really low. So it is monitoring stuff, but it doesn't do a lot of computations. It's computing this score because this score is computed on the endpoint. So it works even if you are offline, theoretically. And the load of the box is not substantial. You know, if you look at the task manager, it just do technically nothing. The CPU loading is, of course, here because of RDP and stuff like that. But you typically see like 1%-ish, maybe 2% of load of the box when you are working. So not substantial.
Okay, and we see that it even works good with just 4 GB of RAM. So
yeah. So it's not really something that is
really hard,
that is
not heavy. Another one: how is the information transferred to the cloud dashboard for investigation? Yeah, so every time there is an incident, some trigger, the endpoint is immediately sending the data to this Neo cloud. Because one thing I maybe not distinguished, the DLP is fully on premise, but the Neo is fully in cloud. So all the dashboards are sitting in the cloud, and it's a cloud product. Then it goes on and on. For everyone who wants to make such a deep dive, I would recommend to book a meeting with Miroslav in the afternoon.
Yep.
I will just pick out 2 more questions so we don't lose too much time here. So about agent, it's agentless, I think.
It's not agentless.
Okay.
You need this Neo agent.
Okay.
At the moment, what I was showing, there are two agents installed. One is DLP agent, one is Neo agent. Our roadmap is to unify it together into this Neo agent, so you don't have to have two agents, but they are working together automatically. You don't have to do anything special. Just install and deploy. On the Forcepoint Neo, there is a automatic installation of Neo endpoints. When you do that installation, it basically can auto update to latest version if you wish so. You don't have to have it enabled, but this is like auto updates. So once you deploy it, you don't have to care about it. It sits there doing that stuff.
Okay, and then one last question. We saw several users like this David Risky. So how does the system evaluate if someone is, I mean, you showed how it's evaluated but by what rules is it set that it's 70, 80, 90%? Okay,
so of course the DLP is connected into the Active Directory. Okay, so I know the DLP knows what kind of user it is. So I have this idea about the users, and I can see all their ideas. So I will not show it. We don't have time, but when he is logged into the domain, he is automatically picked up by AD and is compared on the endpoints and correlated. So all the stuff is really working with this one specific user. Okay, so when I see that user here, he will have this. What I wanted to do. Yeah, I wanted to take here the idea about this user. So he will be taking out from the domain. So we need to integrate with the domain to have this this information. Okay, I think that's it. We don't have time for any more questions. For everyone who's interested in the deep dive, please follow the link to book the meetings with you in the afternoon. Okay. Let me know. I will be ready, and thank you very much for your time. Okay, then next up is Mahmoud from Logsign.
he will explain about his solution.
And
Mahmoud,
yes,
you're here.
yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Yes, I think I'm audible, I'm visible.
I can see you, we can hear you, yes, and we are waiting for your presentation.
Nice. Okay, so let me share my screen at first. I have to leave the full screen. Yes, here it is. My screen is also visible
Yes,
now, I think.
yes.
Okay, that's very
Perfect.
nice. So thanks for joining, and actually thanks for providing such an organization like for us to introduce ourselves. And I'm Mahmoud Özrenk, and I'm the Global Technical Solutions Manager at Logsign. And today I would like to introduce the company and its product family and the features of the product as a short and brief, quickly demonstration after a presentation. So before introducing the company, let me mention about Logsign. Logsign is a cybersecurity provider company as a vendor. So with over 10 years of experience, we used to have two separate solutions before, Logsign SIEM and Logsign SOAR. So we recently decided to migrate these features into one single platform for providing a comprehensive centralized monitoring, detection, and response. So now we have a unified, best-in-class, next-generation SIEM platform with the capabilities of a SOAR as response, incident management, UBA features. So this product is that we are naming it as Unified Detection and Response. So that provides a faster detection and easier response. So let's talk about Logsign at first. As Logsign, we enable robust and clutter-free cybersecurity solutions by providing automation-driven detection and response products and value-added services. And we have over 10 years of experience and with over 600 happy customers all around the world and in 4 different continents. And our key product is Logsign SIEM, as I mentioned before, and that's one of the fastest SIEM tools. It is really simple to deploy, easy to use, comprehensive features comes from SOAR and UBA. And our products, actually product family and a company, are always recognized and followed by all security authorities and independent research companies like Gartner, KuppingerCole, Forrester, Cybersecurity Excellence, Globee, and more. So we always had an award winner company and product family with different awards that we have gained before. So how and why Logsign SIEM helps you? Let me introduce and mention about these ones. Logsign security organizations with increased visibility, real-time detection and response for strong cybersecurity needs. It provides a 360-degree network visibility, real-time monitoring, and getting the actionable results and reducing the mean time to detect and response by providing real-time automated responses. Also, it provides compliance for the regulation requirements by protecting the sensitive data, collecting evidence, and also protecting the organization from high fines. And it really worth to invest in Logsign SIEM because when you make a SIEM investments, the product needs to be installed easily and quickly and should not be left aside. So our support and product team are always with our clients according to their needs, whenever they need anything, to overcome the investment operational challenges. So let's take a look how Logsign SIEM does and how it differentiates. Here are the words that describe Logsign as a nutshell and describes it well. These are the key features when you're comparing to the other ones. The first key point, as I mentioned just within a couple of minutes before, the deployment has to be easily and quickly. So you will have a rapid and painless deployment with Logsign. It will take only 15 or 20 minutes to deploy and start using the platform. So after you deploy it, according to your scale of your architecture, you can always extend it and use it with HA architecture as active-active cluster. And you can create a super-powered data lake to handle more EPS values and have a service-based, role-based, and data-based redundancy. So once you deployed and enrich your architecture, you can start integrating and collecting everything from anywhere. We have an extensive integration framework that has over 500 built-in integrations. You can start and finish all of your integrations of data collections just half of a day. And you can always collect more and enrich the results with in-memory and real-time threat intelligence feeds of Logsign. Logsign has over 45 proven and well-trusted threat intelligence feeds to enrich the data once it's detected just in time. So once you collect and enrich the results, now you can search and investigate and find the results within a few milliseconds. Then visualize the actionable results with built-in dashboard and monitoring templates. And you can be compliant and feel safe according to the report templates that Logsign has, over 1,000 at vendor-specific and general. And also, as a unified detection and response platform, we have over 500 built-in detection rules. So according to the detections, you can take several actions with one click. And you can get the benefits of value-added services of Logsign product and support team anytime. These are the word describes Logsign well. And finally, another word comes in as out-of-the-box incident management and response tool that comes from SOAR capabilities. And it provides a detection with multi-correlations and risk scoring via MITRE-ATT&CK and cyber kill chain frameworks. And with more than 50 out-of-the-box visual cards, it will improve the threat detection and accelerate the incident response. So this is a Logsign incident lifecycle management. So let's talk about each feature in detail. The superpower data lake. As I mentioned in the beginning, Logsign is the first Hadoop embedded SIEM platform. So that brings some advantages to have a scalable architecture as horizontal and vertical. As EPS values can always increase or decrease, you can always extend your architecture as horizontal, adding new nodes and servers to handle more EPS values. And as vertical, you can make role and server space redundancy. And thanks to Hadoop distributed file system, all the collected events and incidents will be always redundant. And according to your needs, you can always extend the architecture up to enterprise-grade scalability. And you can use the platform with HA and active-active cluster architecture. It is really fast and simple to deploy it for the hybrid environments if you have some applications running on clouds or as on-prem. And you will also get a long-term data storage and retention with high-capacity data collector for the distributed environments. If you have more than one location or branches, you can deploy the Logsign high-capacity data collector, as we are naming it as leaf collector. This leaf collector can be deployed. And it doesn't matter how many log sources or data sources just behind it, it will collect, parse, and send it to Central C in a secure protocol. So once you deployed, finishing the deployment, you can start the benefits of the extensive integration framework. And over 400, you will have built-in data collection integrations. And some of them you can see on the right side. And we are using 11 different integration methodologies to collect the data from anywhere. So we are using API for cloud connections, MS SQL and Oracle collections, agent or agentless, flow types, SFTPs, reading the file from any file or folder using 11 different methodologies. So that means if there is a data, Logsign will go and collect it. So once it's collected, the data classification, normalization, and categorization will start automatically as we are fully integrated with all vendors and all products for all event IDs, not the critical ones, everything. Also, you can do data manipulation and modification, and you can always reduce the data noise and filter the unnecessary data using the data policy manager. And if you don't see your device in our integration library, you can easily create a custom parser using 6 different methodologies. Or you can create a ticket to our product team, and they will create a new integration for you with no additional cost. for response or data collection. Integration services are fully free with Logsign. Also, finally, for the integration parts, we have over 100 built-in detection and response integrations. So for any kind of detection, you can take multiple actions like block IP, disable a user, kill a process, delete a file, isolate the host from the network, and hundreds of actions you can take as investigation, detection, or response. This is the integration framework. So once you integrate it, we know that the collected events are not always enough. So it has to be enriched. And Logsign has some comprehensive data enrichment techniques as a SIEM solution, like asset and identity enrichment to get the criticalities, priorities to use and see it in the UBA module. And in-memory and real-time and threat intelligence enrichment, as I mentioned, as in time we are enriching using geolocation to get city and country information to use in the map type widgets to see the attacker's origin. Network position and location services, and special integrations, special enrichments of Logsign as behavior and context. For example, an internal IP can send a DNS request to an external DNS server, like Google DNS, and firewall can allow it. But Logsign SIEM will say that this IP is suspicious because it was making a brute force attack 10 minutes ago. This is a special enrichment of Logsign's behavior analytics capabilities. Custom enrichment with other log sources can be done, or instant data processing with LDAP and Oracle to get more attributes from Microsoft also can be done easily. Once you integrated and enrich the results, you can now investigate and find everything within a few milliseconds, because we know that finding the results are important, but finding them in a rapid way is more important. So thanks to its fully NoSQL architecture, Logsign provides it. Also, it provides drill down, full text, advanced, loosen, and Google-like search. And using these searching methodologies, you can investigate the correlated and enriched data, as well as structured and unstructured data, and find the results in milliseconds. You can easily do threat hunting for hidden threats, IOCs and IOAs, validate the threat levels, do incident triage, and forensic investigation whenever you need. Once you find the results, also you will have a high visibility with a security analytics approach, with hundreds of out-of-the-box dashboards with different categories, like security analytics, threat intelligence, cloud infrastructure, user activity, file integrity monitoring, behavior analytics, database, MITRE ATT&CK, and more. These are all built in. Also, you can easily customize and configure the new ones by using the powerful wizards. And you will have dynamic search filters, drill down analysis, customizable timeframes on the dashboards, and always you can create a role-based access control for different teams to monitor different things. Just for the integrations and the dashboards, you will have hundreds of built-in report templates as vendor-specific and general. You can easily download them according to your integrations. Also, again, it's really easy to create and configure the new ones using the report wizards, and you can always create your ad hoc reporting, executive reportings, and after you created the reports, you can export them within a few seconds, or automate or schedule them to be sent to the related teams in a regular way. Also, you can download the built-in compliance reports, including the regulations for PCI DSS, ISO 27001, HIPAA, SOX, GLBA, and more. And again, you can create a role-based access control for different teams. So let's talk about the detection and response capabilities of Logsign. And Logsign detects the attackers on their first attempt as a unified detection and response platform using over 500 built-in correlation rules with different categories like threat and anomaly detection, phishing, brute force, vulnerability, malware, execution, DDoS, zero-day attacks, IOC, and more. And all these rules have been prepared. These are all the built-in rules, and different scenarios are built in using MitraAttack framework and cyber kill chain parameters. And you can always create your own rules using comprehensive correlation techniques like risk-based, rule-based, behavior threat or vulnerability-based rules you can create, or you can create some historical cross or advanced rules and enrich the detection results using advanced behavior analytics of Logsign with threat intelligence feeds. And you can make the risk scoring, artifacts analysis, and see the attacker's origin at any time. So once you make the detections on Logsign, the real job starts, the incident management response that comes in from Logsign SOAR. And Logsign provides a proactive approach to incident response. So you can do mitigations, analysis, investigations, remediations, and eradications for the incidents in real time. And you can make it as automated or semi-automated using the action button that we are calling it as magic button. You will have some visual cards for investigations, detection and response, or you can make artifacts analysis, assets and identities, see incident timelines, summaries, risk trend changes with the detailed views. And using NIST incident response stages, you can do incident lifecycle management easily with Logsign. And you can always save it as accessing to all SIEM guides and documentations on Logsign. This is Logsign portal on supportlogsign.com. You can always submit a request or access the community. Or you can access to Logsign e-learning platform on Logsign Academy, sign up, get the courses and certificates for fully free. Thank you very much for listening to me on the presentation. Let me show some features on the product demonstration. How everything starts with collection, ends with response with Logsign. So this is the product screen of Logsign SIEM platform. So let me show how we are doing the integrations. Here you can see the previously integrated ones, and adding a new one is so simple and easy using 11 different integrations. Let me show the built-in ones. Here it is. In the vendor list, you can see all the built-in integration framework. For example, if you have a Fortinet or if you have Forcepoint firewall, you can easily select DLP or next generation firewall or any kind of device. You can easily select it from the list because for each product of each vendor, we have built-in integrations for each event IDs. You can just select the products, provide the IP and the name and go. Everything will start automatically. Then once you integrate it, you can easily start monitoring the attacks and all the activities on the built-in dashboards. You don't have to do anything else. Or you can collect the activities from API, from the cloud applications like Office 365 mailbox activities, Azure Active Directory, DLP, or Google Cloud Platform, getting the activities of the admin drive or login, or Acronis, F-Secure, Cloudflare, SentinelOne, and everything you can integrate. Or from databases, special integrations from file management systems. Or you can read the log from files or folders, or Windows workstations or servers. Also, you can collect the data from the NetFlow to detect the insider threats, getting the events using the IP spam port traffic. Or you can integrate the leaves. This is the high capacity data collectors. If you don't see the integration in our list, you can easily create a new parser using regular expression, common event format, key value with the rule as well. You can detect the MAC address and assign it to MAC address column and add a sample, test, deploy, and integrate just within a couple of minutes. And also you can use the demo mode, the simulation mode of Logsign. It includes all the integrations that we have as built-in. So what is the use case for it? For example, you have Checkpoint firewall and want to change it to Forcepoint firewall. You can just come here and select the device and enable. Then Logsign SIEM will start to generate sample logs according to your detections. So before moving to that device, you will be able to see which dashboards or which rules can be created, or how Logsign makes normalization, which event categories are coming. You will be able to see. And finally, for the responses, you can also make the response integrations. For example, if you have an Arbor DDoS protection device, you can see which actions you will gather. With wireless controller as well, you can delete an account, disconnect an active session, get guest account details, block an IP on the firewall, or delete a host, upload an IP address, or disable a user, reset a password, kill a process on EDR2, or even you can kill the threads, delete the files, even you can wipe data, lock screen, disable camera or Wi-Fi on Android devices. Send message using Telegram or Microsoft Teams, use investigation tools and hundreds of actions you can use with Logsign. And once you finish your integrations, it is time to find and enrich the results. And you can see the enrichment methodologies in here, collecting the asset details, identities to be used in the UBA that I will show in the end. And also you can enable the Logsign threat intelligence. So this is the search. This is the pool of each events are stored from the integrated log sources and enable all the demo modes. And so far for today, up to this time, we have over 1 million of events. So you can use the smart filters for a quick data aggregation. For example, mostly active IPs with the counts, mostly visited destinations, active usernames, used applications, which events, or from which event source, how many events have been collected. So as you can see, over 10 different devices, we are collecting the events for the SIEM platform. So how to search and find the results? We use Apache Lucene query language here, but you don't have to know it. You can just type a word, just like searching a word on Google. For example, you want to see the virus activities, just type virus and get the results within a few seconds. This is the fully NoSQL architecture advantage. And each line of events will be seen as separate logs with different colors according to the severities and the categories. And among millions of events, just within a few milliseconds, you filter the results. Open and see the human-readable style of Logsign. This is one line of log, and how Logsign makes normalization. During the normalization, we use nested column architecture. So what is the nested column architecture? What is the advantage of it? All these bold ones, the source, destination, event, application, object, rule, virus, everything, are the nested column groups. And all the details about these nested columns will be grouped under them. For example, client's information, source IP, source username, source country, source hostname, everything. So what is the advantage of it? Just click on one detail, source IP, and that will be added to search bar automatically. Now let's remove the other filter and see one IP's results. Here it is. You can see all network collections, the virus detections, user login denies, DNS connections, and everything will be filtered. You can see the destination IPs that has been visited by this IP as aggregated, or from which event source, how many events have been collected by this IP address. Here it is the advantage of nested column. It doesn't matter from which event source, with which format the data is coming. Logsign makes a normalization like using the nested column architecture to aggregate the results and to be used in the correlation rules. Also, you can use a combined filter. DNS activities for that IP address. Just type DNS and get it. Again, you filtered. Or use AND or not Boolean operators, round, square, or curly brackets. Or you can use wildcards. If someone has watched an MP4 file to see the extension, just type and get. And you can see on which domain, which video has been watched or blocked. Or if you don't know how to search for any results, just type 2 ads and see the built-in mini queries. Type delete if a group, file, system rule, or a user deleted, and get the results again. make the analysis of source or destination domain details, or you can make a time analysis. User delayed activities time, and you can select any specific area with your mouse and reduce the time interval and aggregate the results as which users has delayed the user. So once you created your filter, you can make a drill down analysis, time analysis, data aggregation, or you can create a report, or you can jump to dashboard to start monitoring. Let me show the built-in dashboard categories like security suites, database control, and more. For example, you integrated your firewall or security devices. Just after 1 minute, go and start monitoring the attack analysis and see your internal attackers, external ones, using which ports or interfaces they're attempting to connect. Change the time interval using the time frame for the last 24 hours. You can see the detection timeline or blocking timeline, from which country for how many times they're attempting to connect. Or you can jump to the other dashboards like Security Activity Overview, IDS, or if you enable Logsign Threat Intelligence Services, you can see the suspicious IPs, categories, malicious source and destination countries, IPs with the counts. Also, Threat Intelligence Overview, risky source and destination countries, and firewall actions for disconnections. Also, you can monitor the MITRE ATT&CK activities, triggered technique names, IDs, destinations, triggered rules, alert informations, IDs with the descriptions, and if exists, you will see the process creations executed on PowerShell, command line, or Sysmon agents. Also, you can monitor the database activities, insert, select, delete, and all the activities with the executed commands on the database, or user account management activities. All the event categories with the counts, created or deleted users, enabled or disabled, locked, password change activities, expired passwords. If you want to see just one user's results, for example, Julian, you can just type Julian and all the widgets will be refreshed and will be filtered according to the results for Julian in source or destination. And without removing the filter, you can jump to other dashboards. I want to see the VPN activities for Julian and jump to the other dashboard and see the timeline. And you can remove to see all the results. And what kind of other monitorings? Like you can do application server monitoring, network analysis, including the bandwidth usage, traffic awareness, HTTPS analysis, and file integrity monitoring. If someone has changed the permission on a shared file or a folder, move to file, read, write, execute, or delete activities. You can easily filter and make the other monitorings like event taxonomy, severities, and the mappings, system events of SIEM and general alert activities, or custom dashboards. You can always create a new category, dashboards, and a widget. You can select the type, but the widget type, because we have over 24 for different kind of monitoring styles. You can add the configuration, select the color pattern as red tones, mixes, or blue tones, according to the severities. And you don't have any limits to create a new dashboard or a new widget. Just for the reportings, before jumping to detection and response and UBA, let me show how Logsign does the reporting issues and capabilities. Just for the integrations and the dashboards, you will have some predefined report templates. For example, again, if you want to download a report that you have integrated for Trend Micro device, you can just type and you can see the malware spyware events, deep discovery, and anti-malware, security integrity, and everything. Just download and it will be installed. Now you have 4 new reports in seconds. You can search and find the reports by their names using the name filter. For example, attack activities. just type attack, or use the filters on the left side, using it if it is a vendor-specific or general reports, or according to the report type. We have 10 different report types for different analysis, like groups, table types, histogrammic, map, correlator, group plus for mathematical calculations, and more. You can select group plus actually for the detailed and grouped analysis, and use the compliance. For example, let's see the PCI DSS regulation tech reports for Trend Micro, Microsoft's, Cisco, and other ones. You can just open one of the reports and see the graph and the table details. Again, you can use the smart filters within the reports and aggregate the results. Or without editing the report, you can change the results. For example, just see the results for grades and filter it to which user groups grades has been added or removed. You can also make a time analysis on the reports, or edit to graph type, or add new details to the table or to the filters, or export the report as PDF, Excel, or HTML. And once you export it, you can easily download it or send it to anyone with one single click. Or you can schedule the reports to be sent to the related people or teams as single or multiple. For example, let's create a new schedule as morning coffee reports. That means every morning while I am drinking my coffee, send yesterday's spyware events, malware activities, enabled accounts, or you can add more. For example, spam mail to traffic. You can add the graphs or the table. Select the ranges, yesterday, last week's, or last 3 days. Export type, user, repeat time, and go. The reports will be sent to the related people as requested. So this is how we are also doing the reporting. So far, we talked about the integrations, searching, monitoring, and reporting capabilities. Let's talk about the detection and response capabilities of Logsign. And here it is. Before jumping to the correlation rules, let me show you the behaviors and the lists. How Logsign makes a behavior analytics. We have over 400 behaviors and lists to detect the insider threats and abnormal activities. For example, let's see how Logsign detects the brute force attacker hosts. And this list is looking at all the logon failure activities happens on any device. And if a source IP has logged in failure in the last 6 minutes for over 100 times, this IP will be added to this list as a brute force attacker, and it can be tagged with the context of suspicious attacker or victim. You can always change the trigger levels and context. So by using this way, you can always search and find your suspicious IPs, attacker users, or victim hosts. For example, context source IP suspicious will list your suspicious IP addresses lists, and you can see them within the lists and filter and find. For example, as I have given an example within the presentation, an internal IP has sent a DNS request to Google DNS, and firewall has allowed it, but Logsign says this IP is suspicious because it has downloaded large data in the last 1 hour and 24 hours and uploaded large data in the last 1 hour. More than one behavior has been triggered by this IP. So this is suspicious, it says. This is the behavior type of enrichment with context enrichments. And not only for brute force attackers, but also you can detect the port scanners and ICMP flood attacks, excessive mail senders and receivers, infected hosts, multiple vulnerabilities, botnets, infected hosts, P2P application users, and privileged user groups, ransomwares, SQL injections, cross-site scripting, and more. We have over 400 to detect the abnormal activities to be used for data enrichment, and also within the UVA and correlation rules. Let me show the correlation rules and how they are working on Logsign. These are the correlation categories that we have for credential access, command and control, DDoS, exploits, privilege escalation, and more. For just brute force, we have 10 different correlation rules. And just for one technique of MITRE attack, defense evasion, we have 83 different correlation rules. If the attacks executed by a PowerShell command line, or a sysmon agent, you can easily detect the rules and search for the different results or edit the rules to add new conditions. According to the severity of these correlations, the risk score coefficient value will be defined for the rules to make a risk scoring calculation or recalculation. And here are the rules. On the PowerShell command, if the message text contains these words, and you can also say, if the source IP that triggered and executed this command behavior as brute force attacker host. You can use these behaviors also within the correlation rules, also the contexts. And if the IP or the username inside these incidents contexts as suspicious attacker or victim, you can always use it for enrichment and in the correlation rule for a detailed detection. And you can select your action column to take the actions. And action rules. This is the automated response feature. Action rules just fit in the alerts and the behaviors. And according to the response integration that you have made, you can create some separate action rules or group them within one action. For example, you can do block IP, disable user, send email, kill process separately, or you can create one action rule as TI action and group 4 different actions within it. This rule includes 4 different actions: blocking the IP, shut down the computer, disable the user, and sending the email. So you can create a new action rule. Then you can select the correlation rules as a predefined detections, and how many correlations we have, you can see within the lists. You can select within the list or add a new one manually. NTP DDoS attacks. 3 rules I have added as predefined to take the actions automatically. So you can select your actions to disable the user or reset the password or remove from group. Or you can shut down the computer or kill the process or block an IP address or a URL. You can say, get the URL within the incident. It will get it as dynamically. And you can add it to any group and block it for 6 hours. Multiple actions you can add. Then, as you can add the correlation rules within the action rule, or also inside the correlation, you can add the action rules. For this correlation, go and block the IP, shut down the host, kill the process, and send an email. You can select multiple actions. Tag it with any MITRE attack and send it to SOAR connector. This is how it is easy to create or configure the default correlation rules. And after these rules are created, you can see them within the incidents because the incidents will be created accordingly. You can see all the triggered and detected rules as threat intelligence activities, spam activities, or off-hours logons, user delays, and everything. Just click on to see more details. And you can also see the risk scores for how many times it's triggered, priority, and the categories. Here it is a triggered incident and a created case for it. Threat intelligence was a low connection activity detected. And you can see the risk score and the action object that triggered this correlation rule for how many times and at which stage you are, you can always see. Then you can also see the artifacts with how many different users, IPs, URLs, or hosts this IP is related. You can see it within the Artifacts tab. And you can add a new artifact manually. I know these internal IP and it's related with the user Jack. Then you can have a new user with how many incidents it's related, with first seen and last seen details. And you can see the risk score changes, micro attack matrix, triggered, rule, or ID, with description and more detection. And for more references, you can also jump to the micro attack itself. And now we are at the stage of analysis, because there is no response to these incidents so far. Let's start analyzing the results. Here it is the incidents and the event, the evidence that triggered these incidents. Also from which country, for how many times it's tried to connect. And notable events for that IP address, network connections, IP access, process creations, violations, DNS activities, and identity information, and the last triggered alerts. Now, these are the analysis results. Let's see how we are responding. You can select Logsign to collect more evidence and make a deep dive investigation. Without leaving the page, you can collect process termination activities for this IP, or network connections, or successful logouts. Or this information is coming from Logsign threat intelligence. You can also ask it to other threat intelligence platforms like Abuse IP to get the confidence score without leaving the page. The confidence score is 93 and it's coming from China, it says. And response count is 1, still at the stage of analysis. You can also ask it to IBM X-Force or Virus Total to get IP reputation with the other details for reports and S number details and sum of positives. It is 4. So it is really risky. And you can go and make your first touch, like block the IP on these products for 6 hours. Go and block it. And at the third response, you jump to the stage of containment because you had the first touch and successfully blocked the IP on the firewall with one single click. And you can proceed and kill the destination. Go and connect your EDR and kill a specific PID on processes. Select the device from the list and submit. And jump to the eradication. And you can fix the firewall rules, update the endpoint agents, or you can unblock an IP that you have blocked before by mistake to recover. And finally, at the 5th response, you recover these incidents. Have a lessons learned session with Security Operations Center teams and close these incidents with false positive, no action needed, results, or other descriptions. Anyone can see each activities before once they joined, and this is how you can do the incident lifecycle management with Logsign. And for the triggered actions, you can use the detected and enriched results, getting from the assets and identities into UEBA, user entity and behavior analytics capabilities of Logsign, and see the incident timelines, total user counts, device count and incident counts according to the severities with the timeline. And here it is, you will see a list of the users, risk score changes, and risk trends. Just click on any device and you will see for the last 1 week's activities, including the machine learning. And also you can see the behaviors that has been triggered by this IP and tagged as attacker from different locations, which how many different locations is connected, IOCs, accounts, incidents, alerts, and events, and for how many times it's triggered as suspicious attacker or victim, and total risk score, and incident timeline for that IP address and the hosts. You can see as separately with the user details and pictures, the risk trends, risk scores, total scores, and you can see the total risk trends. Total risk score of your system and which users are affecting it with how many risk scores. And user urgencies, activity trends, changes. So you can use these behavior enrichment, behavior analytics capabilities within the enrichments, correlation rules, and also within the UEBA to have a comprehensive look for a risk scoring and making the analysis of the insider users' criticalities and urgencies. And finally, you can also monitor every action, every result on the alert dashboards. Alert rules overviews detected the suspicious action objects and action rules, triggered alerts with categories and the description and categories and the triggered correlations with an interactive dashboard, like threat intelligence or allow connection activity detected by which IPs for how many times. You can always monitor every result for any detection, for any action. So as of now, that's it for me as a summary view of Logsign capabilities. Thank you very much for listening to me. If you have any questions, I would like to respond.
Yes, thank you, Mahmoud. Indeed, we have some questions that you could answer right now. So, if there is no suitable parser, are you ready to help develop it for the customer?
Of course, yes. As I mentioned, all the integration services are fully free with Logsign. And if you want to integrate a log source for data collection, you can, of course, create it by your own. But if you don't know or you stuck in, you can always get in touch with us. And our product team will create that parser and integration for you without an additional cost. It's a fully free service. And we really appreciate for these requests because it's also improving ourselves and the platform.
Okay.
We are always helping to our clients. Yeah.
Okay. Second question, is it possible to create a fault-tolerant solution based on the Logsign solution?
For the deployment you're asking, they're asking about fault tolerance. As I think it's about the deployment style. For example, of course, we have all the redundancies, but of course, you can also create a cluster architecture for fault tolerancy. You can add new nodes and you can add some floating IPs and you can add the new servers, new roles on it. And if one of the servers gets down, yes, the other ones will get active as automatically. This is an active cluster architecture. For example, you have 3 nodes that it's installed and deployed, just like working as a standalone server, as a SIEM platform. And the first node has the role of, let's say, data collection. If it gets down, the second one will get the role and active accordingly. So you will not lose any performance, you will not lose any data. We are doing it as active cluster architecture.
Okay, I hope this answers the question. Another one is, does Logsign have a SaaS CM solution?
Actually, not yet so far. It's a fully on-prem solution for now, but it's in our product roadmap. Within the next year, we are planning to do it. Okay.
And the last one is about the license. Does the cost of the solution depend on the number of EPS, or are there other metrics of calculation?
Oh, yes. Thanks for asking this question, because we also changed our approach for the licensing module. We don't have an EPS limit. We don't have a user limit. We don't have a device limit. It doesn't matter how many EPS, device, or user you have. We are only doing the licensing as feature-based. For example, if you only want the SIEM capabilities, you will get a basic or a business plan. And if you need SOAR capabilities, you will have another plan. If you need UBA, you will have another plan. If you have Leaf, you will have another plan. If you want to have cluster architecture, you will have another plan and package. Just feature-based licensing we have, and really cost-effective.
Okay. Yeah, that's it for now. We will make a short break now. And if people are interested into a deep dive into Logsign, then we invite everyone to set a meeting with you. It's here. The links can be found in the chat window, and I'm sure you will be happy to answer every additional questions, every detailed question in a personal meeting.
Okay.
We will be back in 3 to 5 minutes with our last speaker for today. Last but not least, Senhasegura will present in at 11:15, maybe some minutes later. So see you in
Thank you very much.
few moments.
Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, Mahmoud.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, colleagues.
Hello, we will start shortly.
David, can we check voice of our speaker?
Yes, we can check the voice. David,
Hello, everyone.
okay, voice works.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
You can try to share the screen. So yeah, everything good.
Let me know when I start, okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
2 minutes. We are running a little bit late, but we try to keep the break so people can get some refreshment and some.
Okay.
2 minutes is not considered late. Don't worry. We are Brazilians. we are in the, you know.
I was going to say I'm sorry, man.
How are you doing, David? Good to see you.
Hey, man. Nice to see you too.
Tá em português, seu Senhasegura, hein, Davi?
Opa, vou trocar agora. Valeu.
Okay, we're back from the break. Sorry for the little delay. And next up is David Muniz from Senhasegura. David, stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let me just switch the English of my Senhasegura demo to English, and then we're ready to go. Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation today. And the topic of my session will be, why should PAN be a security priority for 2023? So this is our agenda. We'll take a look at take a basic look at the cybersecurity landscape. Then I'll explain the trends in privileged access management and also the associated challenges. Then we'll take a look at why should PAN be a priority for 2023, and then I'll give a short demonstration of the system. Okay. Well, here's the problem. We live in the privacy area, and data is considered the new oil, right? And companies and people should take the proper actions to protect data. And also governments have released new regulation and also introduced new sanctions that are considered in the business. And cybersecurity risks are increasingly considered in the risk management of companies, especially because, these data privacy regulation gives heavy sanction and financial losses to companies, not only financially speaking, but also reputation. Customers are most and more likely not to conduct business with companies that suffer data breaches. And this forces company to properly address this topic. Privileged credentials is a considerably attack vector used by malicious attackers. We know that they are considered the crown of the jewels, the keys to the kingdom. And it's not wonder why 84% of data breaches involves privileged credentials. And not only that, when the data breach involves privileged credentials, the average cost is also higher than the other kinds of data breaches. According to the study from Verizon, and I like to use this study. Actually, it's not from Verizon. Sorry for that. That's from IBM. While the average cost of a data breach was $4.37 billion, when this attack involves privileged credentials, this average cost is slightly higher. And for those who are in the healthcare sector now with the pandemic and everything, the cost is also higher. It's more than double of the average cost of a data breach. But what are the risks that are associated with privileged credentials? Well, the first one is shared credentials, a privilege abuse of shared credentials. And I like to give the idea that the username and passwords are like identities. It's a way to show who you are. So imagine yourself giving your ID or any kind of piece of identification to another person. And that's the same for privileged credentials. Then we talk about third-party access. Well, some companies have hundreds, thousands of third parties, and this also is considered a risk from privileged credentials, the privilege abuse from unauthorized users or third parties. Another aspect that we should take into account here is stolen credentials, and hackers are looking for them. Whenever they perform a cyber attack, they are looking for the keys to the kingdom, because they know that when they have access to those privileged credentials, they are able to not only to perform critical actions in assets, but they are also able to move laterally through the environment and perform an even deep attack in the environment. And the last but not least, we have the accidental use of privileges by users. So, and an interesting data that I like to bring here is that 82% of data breaches are caused by human error. And that's why I like to also emphasize here that cyber awareness should be also part of protecting and also should be a priority for cybersecurity. Well, Gartner also recognized the importance of implementing the adequate privilege management, and they chose PAM for 2 years in a row as the #1 project in information security. And implementing the appropriate privilege access management controls allows companies to address cybersecurity needs and also reduce associated risks. Well, those risks include the lack of visibility of the assets that are connected to the infrastructure and their respective credentials and privileges, the lack of management of privileged access, and the lack of traceability of actions carried out in the environment. And I like to say that these risks are directly related, as I usually say that it's impossible to track what is not managed, and it's not possible to manage what is not known. Okay, now that we've seen the landscape and we introduced privilege access management, let's take a look at what are the challenges that are associated with PAM. The first one is the privilege access discovery and management. We've seen before that it's impossible to protect what you don't know. And according to Gartner, the discovery and management of all privileged access is a challenge for most organizations. And all this considering the challenges that were introduced by the adoption of cloud models and development environments. These environments have lots of privileged credentials, hard-coded credentials that, if not managed, can be a considerably attack vector for malicious attackers. And why is this important? Well, we've seen that 80% of cyber attacks involve compromising privileged credentials. So the first step is to have an awareness of where those privileged credentials are, and then move to the next step that is properly protect them. The next challenge that I like to bring here is the balance between the privileges and the accesses, and implementing the principle of the least privilege. And looking at all the customers that we have here at Senhasegura, this is a considerably challenge for organizations to give the right amount of privileges for the users for the right amount of time. This can sound quite simple, but believe me, it is not. Few organizations are able to implement the principle of the least privilege. And this increases the attack surface and leaves organizations exposed to risks through excessive or inappropriate privileges. Well, and the next challenge is to properly implement those tools. The lack of control of privileged credentials prevents governance in information security, and this increases the attack surfaces and also increase the chance of a cyber attack. So implementing a PAM solution means to properly manage all privileged credentials by creating an authentication, authorization, and governance processes for your users. And PAM tools are needed to fully address PAM challenges. However, significant effort is required in the aspect of people and processes. So to properly implement PAM, we stay on these three places. We have the processes, policies, procedures. We have the people, properly train and educate these people, and finally tools. tools is also an important aspect to address cybersecurity aspect. And I say that that's useless to implement the state-of-the-art in security tools without investing in people first. So a common error that organizations do is to implement the processes, they're properly designed, the tools are implemented, we have the state-of-the-art in security tools. However, the users are not properly trained and they don't have the proper awareness. So it's useless to implement a PAM tool, for example, if the user clicks on a malicious link. So implementing PAM tools without this first step means that we're not properly addressing cybersecurity risks. And this leads to more time to reach security maturity and also higher operational costs. And probably no one here wants higher costs and to do real work. So what should we consider? Well, the first, we need to understand why, understand what are the business priorities, what are the risk appetite in the company. Then we have to take a look at all the inventory of those privileged credentials and also the use cases. Then we have to understand when these capabilities must be used. Finally, we design the requirements, how the PAM solution will perform this action. And then finally, we need to answer which tool we are going to select. And Gartner brings in their reports 4 pillars of PAM. First, starting with track and secure, understand what are those privileged credentials and properly manage to protect them. Then we have govern and control, understand what are the accesses that are being performed, and also have total governance over what is performed in the environment. Then we have record and audit. So understand what are the users doing in the environment, and also verify everything that has been performed. And finally, operationalize the PAM use cases. Well, now that we understand the 4 pillars of PAM, we take a look at the best practices in the PAM, how to implement a PAM. Well, the first best practice is to establish processes and procedures to address PAM risk, and I've talked about that earlier. So those responsible for information security, they must be able to define the company's cyber risk appetite, in addition to tools, roles, and responsibilities. And remember that the basics come first. So we have to address the basic use cases. We don't want to do everything at a time. Start small, 1 step at a time. Afterwards, intermediate and then advanced items are more flexible, as they do not all need to be achieved, nor do they necessarily need to be achieved in that order. But remember to prepare a roadmap of PAM capabilities to be deployed in the environment. The second best practice that I'd like to bring here is acquire and install tools to implement those processes using those 4 pillars that I presented before. And explore the PAM market, map your use cases against the core functionality of PAM vendors. And this will allow you to create a shortlist with which to take a deeper dive. Then schedule a POC and execute a proof of concept with at least 2 of those primary contenders, giving them the most difficult PAM use cases to solve. Match requirements to PAM functionality. For example, if the majority of your PAM accesses use cases are IT workers, for example, using privileged accounts to do routine and break-fix activities, then privileged access vaulting, session management, and session recording may be exactly what you need. On the other hand, if you need fine-grained privilege controls on specific operating systems, let's say Linux, or your firewalls, or your Windows endpoints, well, then you'll be looking for privilege elevation and delegation management, and also secrets management functionality. And finally, if you require discovery and management for dynamic cloud environments, you may need to explore our newest solution, and that is something that we have recently released, our KIM platform, cloud entitlements. So we've talked about cloud infrastructure before, and Senhasegura properly addresses cloud challenges and needs. The third best practice is to create the processes to identify all privileged accounts and owners in your IT infrastructure. And I've talked about this several times during this presentation, because it's important to understand what is your source of risk. And we know that privileged credentials is a significant source of risks in organizations. And the models adopted by organizations must involve the continuous discovery of privileged credentials. It's not just a one-time task. These needs to be recurrent and needs to be added in your processes. So like this, running a scan on the environments just once may not be enough to ensure that new privileged credentials are properly managed. The fourth best practices apply the principle of least privilege by granting only the minimum level of privileges. And I like to say that security and productivity, they work together and they work in a balance. If you increase a lot the level of security, then you affect productivity and vice versa. The fifth best practice, implement privileged access logging and auditing capabilities. You need to understand what is the user doing in your environment. So, and the new zero trust-based security paradigm involves the elimination of the security perimeters. So everything, all the actions and changes in privileged accounts in the environment must be continuously verified. The sixth best practice is to create and expand automation for privileged access. So automation here includes increased trust and security by removing the human aspect. And this allows tasks to be assigned, for example, to less experienced staff, eliminating the needs to review privileged activities. This increased efficiency and also decrease operation costs. So integration includes applications such as vulnerability management, orchestration, identity management for privileged credentials, lifecycle management, ITSM, CMDB, SIEM, syslog, as well as advanced user behavior analysis tools. Well, according to Gartner, there are 4 advanced PAN-B features that security leaders must be considered in their roadmap. So we have advanced auditing for privileged session auditing. We have DevOps and secrets management for CI/CD automation. Advanced analytics to understand the patterns, what is the user doing in the environment. And finally, zero standing privileges, which is basically a just-in-time approach. Well, to summarize this presentation, PAM is crucial to assure cybersecurity and is becoming increasingly important. We've seen that Gartner has elected PAM as a top 1 security project. Choose a complete and simple to deploy platform. And this is important because PAM can be quite time consuming. Users are not willing to give up of their usual way to access devices, and introducing a pen tool can be quite stressful for the management and also for the user. And this is not me who is saying, this is Gartner saying, it is impossible to manage privileged access risks. It's virtually impossible without specialized PAM solutions like Senhasegura. Okay? So with that, I finish my presentation. And as I said, should I do the demo now or?
Yes, please.
Okay, before the questions.
Yeah, let's answer the question at the end of your demo. Maybe
okay.
the demo already
okay.
answers some questions.
Okay. So this is the main screen of Senhasegura. I will so Senhasegura has a desktop where you can have a summary of all the actions that you performed. And it's important to say that Senhasegura can be quickly deployed. In less than 1 day, you can have the solution up and running. And with our best-in-class discovery capabilities, we're able to discover and onboard the privileged credentials in your environment. And this is exactly what I'm going to do right now. First, I'll start with the discovery. So in this case, we can add new discoveries, and those discoveries can be concurrent. They can happen at the same time. And in this case, I can review all the certificates, SSH keys, device. So everything that the system discovers, I can easily verify and onboard into the system. And I'd like to say again that Senhasegura discovery capabilities have been considered as best in class by Gartner. The next use case that I like to bring here is the remote session. So on the PAM core module, and it's important to see here that Senhasegura is a centralized PAM platform. So in this menu, I can have access to all features that have been acquired by the company. So I can view the PAM, the actual PAM, certificate management, the DevOps secrets management, and all other modules that are offered by Senhasegura. So in this menu here, I have access to all the credentials that are managed by the solution. I can search here, for example. I can use the search to verify a specific, to check a specific credential. So I can manage, in this case, the web application, the web console for CSPs. I can manage Linux. I can manage databases, network devices, and Windows, of course. So in this case, I can either view the password of a credential, or I can start a remote session. So in this case, let me start. So the interface of Senhasegura is web-based. So it doesn't require any agent to be installed. So you can just run on the browser. And of course, the session is recorded. So in this case, I will go back to show the other use cases, which is something that our customers like a lot. We have our in our dashboards. So in this case, I have a centralized view of all the actions that are performed in the different modules of Senhasegura. So if I come here on PAM core, there's this feature that our customers like a lot, which is the radar. So in this case, the radar shows all privileged sessions that are being performed in the environment. So in this case, I can click here. So I'm running a session on this server. Now a user, then that can be a user, for example. And me as an administrator, I can check what is the user doing through the live stream feature. So in this case, I am the administrator and I'm checking what the user is doing, or an auditor or something like that. So I'm looking at real time what the user is doing, and I am able to block the session. So if the user is doing a malicious action, I can just click on the hold on button. Oh,
you're not going to be able to do that because the user is you and you're blocking yourself.
But I can drop the session.
Yeah.
So in this case, this will terminate the session of the user and the user is disconnected. Also, I would like to bring here the user behavior. So Senhasegura can check the posture of the user, and there are several reports that shows what could be a trigger for a malicious action. So excessive number of access depending on the profile of the user. So the report shows all the actions that are in this range, and I can also view details of those actions that are performed in the environment. And this can be set up by the administrator. The administrator can set up the risk posture in the system and receive alerts on whenever this occurs through Senhasegura. Okay? So with this, I finished my presentation and my demo, and give the word to you, David.
Okay, thanks a lot, David. That's funny. We
David,
have one.
we have one question.
Yeah, I want just to ask it. Please clarify issues related to licensing. So it's a question about the licensing. Is it by user or by number of systems? Does the system have a subscription-based licensing or permanent licenses as well?
Okay, so we have several modules and we have different kind of licensing, okay? So we have the PAM, the PDM, the DOMO, the DevOps, the certificate lifecycle. I'm talking about PAM, and I'm open to respond to any questions further on every single module, but for PAM, we only charge users. So we have unlimited credentials, devices, and etc. Our PAM module includes everything. Our PAM core already includes all the functionalities that you can imagine, such as video recording, behavior analysis, password rotation, frequency, strength, and everything you can consider. Discovery, automatic task mode, application to application. So it's a complete pack. We used to say that we do not make it hard to quote. So there is no add-on. Even every time that we deliver a PAM, we already include 2 nodes. So the high availability goes for free. It's another advantage from our side. So, and also we have on-prem and cloud and software as a service as well. So you can buy a perpetual license on-prem, you can buy a subscription license on-prem, or you can buy PAM as software as a service, and now the functionalities are there. There is no change at all in the modes. All right, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, so the everything you want, you can offer. There's another question. Can you monitor keystrokes through RDP?
Yes, we can monitor keystrokes to RDP. We integrate with Jump Server, for example. We integrate with Windows RDP, for example. This integration is transparent, so you doesn't even have to log into the Vault, to our Senhasegura PAM, and you're gonna have the video recordings and the logbooks and the logs.
Okay. And must the user add target machines to connect?
Yes, it's necessary. In order to manage credentials, you know, the repository for credentials, for a credential will always be a device. So local devices will handle with, local credentials will be handled by devices, and domain credentials will be handled by the domain server. But yes, you must add all the single device in Senhasegura in order to manage credentials. The important thing to remember about that is we don't charge you by credentials or devices. So if you have 10 PAM users, you are able to add 1,000 servers, 10,000 credentials.
Okay. Yeah. So far, I don't see any more questions.
Even though, if you need anything, all right, the guys from Softprom are fully capable to do it. You have my full contact. Anytime you need anything, ping me on my WhatsApp. I'm 24/7 active, and I'm going to be able to support you. All right. We can do a demo at any time you need with your specific usage cases and show how to do that. One thing I can guarantee, compared to our main competitors, which are the top ones in the market, we are the best in class regarding to time to secure, very efficient regarding to cost and to resources that you're going to need not only to deploy, but also to use, since we are a completely Linux-based solution.
And this is very important what Vinicius said. We offer, everything is included, databases, operational system, so you don't have to worry about adding more servers in the environment to deploy Senhasegura. So we have the fastest time to deploy in the market. We can, while our competitors may take a week to be deployed and onboard, with just put the, we offer Senhasegura through a virtual machine. So we just put the virtual machine up and running, and you're ready to go.
Okay, sounds great. If there are no other questions, I would close the panel and close the forum as well. It was our last day, our last talk. We say thank you to all the participants. If there should be any questions left for any of the vendors that you heard in the last 3 days, please take the opportunity to book a meeting with them. You find the links here in chat, in the webinar chat. Otherwise, our colleagues from Softprom will be glad to assist any one of you who wants to deploy one of the systems that we presented these days. And yeah, that's it from my side. Maybe my colleague that has done all the work in the background, Marina. Now it's your turn to receive some thanks from all of us. Thank you for organizing this in the background. Thank you for fighting for Ukraine. I have to say this. She's a very brave warrior working in army. Also, besides her work with Softprom. And yeah, it's challenging times, but we will survive this and we'll win this war.
Everybody's with you guys, even in Brazil.
Love wins.
Ukraine will win. Yeah, Slava Ukraini.
You already won.
Героям слава!
Okay, then have a safe day, everyone. A nice remaining week. And thanks a lot for participation.
Count on us. Have a great day, sir. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much, everyone.